Biden says, and I quote, "She was embarrassed after spy balloon case." Biden says, "Great embarrassment for dictators." In fact, at this point, we're looking at China clearly sidelined with hours before Biden's meet with Prime Minister Modi. Biden calling China's president, Xi Jinping, a dictator. Biden says she was embarrassed after spy balloon case. He says, great embarrassment for dictators. One should know that a spy balloon that came from China was spotted in the United States and the US took it down. At that point, fingers being raised on China's intentions. Relationship between China and the United States, similar to China and India, has been now dented. It's been a few years ever since COVID hit. It's gone downhill with America for sure. At this point, Joe Biden calling Xi Jinping a dictator. A big statement coming in just at a time when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in the United States. Just hours before Biden's meet with Prime Minister, Biden calls China President Xi Jinping a dictator. He says she was embarrassed after spy balloon case. Great embarrassment for dictators. These are words of Joe Biden. In fact, at this point, China and the United States relationship has remained strained. While at a time when Modi is in the United States, a statement like this really speaks for a lot. US President Joe Biden calling the Chinese President Xi Jinping a dictator. He says this at a fundraiser in California. In fact, this is, of course, at this point, a huge statement coming in because Prime Minister Modi is in the United States. We know the kind of business that US and China has been involved in for years now. India now almost replacing China in that aspect. At least that's how we're seeing trends and some kind of signs that we see here with India stepping up. Joe Biden inviting Prime Minister Modi, this kind of relations and bonhomie with India at this point. India really stepping into the shoes of China completely when it comes to ties with the United States. And this statement coming in from Joe Biden calling Xi Jinping a dictator says it all. Abhishek Balla joining us for more on that. Abhishek, tell us more. Joe Biden, right at a time when Modi is in the United States, calls China, a Chinese President Xi Jinping, a dictator, refers to that very particular spy balloon that the US took down, saying China has been embarrassed ever since. The dictators are embarrassed. Tell us more on that.
Yes, the context, Nabila, is definitely the spy balloon that was shot down by the US. Now, China has been maintaining that it wasn't a spy balloon, but the US is very clear that the kind of equipment which was seized once the balloon was brought down gave clear indications that it was being used to snoop, and it was in their airspace. And that's where Joe Biden says that China was taken by surprise, and it's in this context that he's spoken in this manner about Joe Biden. And yes, the timing again very interesting. It's just a day after the top US diplomat Antony Blinken was in China. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting the United States. So the timing, of all of this becomes even more interesting. Of course, President Biden will be meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. A lot of things need to be discussed. And China, in fact, is one of the aspects that is now part of an India-US dialogue. It's constantly been one since 2020, since the tussle started in Ladakh. In fact, we've repeatedly seen reports of the Department of Defense of US referring and making mentions of Chinese aggressions, not just in the South China Sea, but particularly even in Ladakh. There have been clear references to that as well. So yes, very symbolic and interesting timing.
All right. Well, clearly we're seeing that Joe Biden administration now locking horns with the Chinese government, and it's been so for a few years now, all the way from trade to bilateral ties itself. Their relationship is strained. India really stepping up in that picture at this point has cornered China, and how. Xi Jinping calling, Biden calling Xi Jinping a dictator is really a statement of sorts, while at a time Prime Minister Modi is in the United States.